Welcome back to the High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. It's time now for Inside Section 5 with our guest, Churchville-Chili Athletic Director, Michael Murray. Talk about how things have gone at Churchville-Chili, how with all the sports going and everything, how have things been going as far as keeping everybody, safe, secure, and things running smoothly?
Oh, it's been unbelievably well, really. What started out, obviously, is something we had no idea what we were getting into. It was almost like being an AD all over again and on a different planet, to be honest with you. But once we dug into everything and we got everybody on board, we kind of actually one of our chaperones in particular said, "This is a well-oiled machine," So that to me said a lot about where we were and where we got to with all the systems we had to put in place. It was definitely a team effort.
Talk a little about that from an athletic director standpoint, how, you guys, it's kind of like you never have to reinvent the wheel because every year it's the same thing, more or less over and over. Then all of a sudden you have no idea what's coming down the pike and you're expected to turn things around on a pretty quick basis. Talk about what that was like about getting things going and really setting things up from the very first season.
Well, what started out was very scary. When we talked last spring and everything getting shut down, are we ever going to have any sports again? People were asking. Then it just started out little by little. We started in the fall with just a few sports. Then I would say around January, it got crazy in a hurry when the governor and the health department allowed all the various sports, some of them that haven't played yet, such as football, volleyball, wrestling, hockey. And then we're going to just go roll in with spring sports as well. There were some overlaps. So it was very, very challenging in a very short period of time. I think we had about 9 days to get a bunch of teams up and running. And 4 of those days were weekend because I remember it came out on a Friday. And then those 9 days translated into the following Monday to be ready to go. First practice, get everybody registered, get everyone cleared, get all the coaches and the rules in place, and let's go. So it was tough.
I was talking to one of the football coaches, and he mentioned to me that one of the things that was different for them was they usually had the whole summer to get things ready for their season. And then all of a sudden now this is a turnaround they had to do on a totally different basis than they were used to. Talk about some of the challenges for the coaching staff too.
Absolutely. Not just physically, but even just the relationships that coaches have with their kids and the inability to connect with them or even talk to them. With the hybrid setup for school, kids are only in school 2 days a week. And for quite a long period of time, there was no athletics allowed at all. Even off-season workouts were not allowed. It was challenging, again, not just for the physical aspect of keeping kids in shape and trying to improve their skills and in the weight room and on the athletic courts, but just being able to speak to their kids outside of a Zoom, face to face, and how are you, and just to touch base. That was the toughest part, I think.
And I think one of the things that really came out of this is just how important high school athletics are. You saw the heartbreak last spring, and you saw how anxious and appreciative the kids were to get, and the fans and the administrators and everybody. It was such a welcome thing to have back. Talk a little about that.
Yeah, it was, again, it was so unknown for such a long period of time, and even just the little we got back in the fall was a celebration, no doubt about it. Especially the coaches who were able to play in the fall, the swim coaches, the soccer coaches, and so forth that did have the ability to play. Golf and tennis got to get in the mix as well. So it was an absolute huge relief and a huge celebration on top of all the work that we had to put in, all the rules. But just to be able to work with our kids again after school, it was something like, it's hard to describe, because to be have it taken away from you, something you've had for years and years and years and years. And most of these coaches were student athletes themselves. So they've been involved in that sport since they were little kids. And to have that taken away was just a way to say, hey, let's be thankful for what we have, because tomorrow could be very different. That's one of the things we said all along. You really can't take anything for granted. Every single sport got to play. Every single one of our 76 teams, from modified B, girls and boys, all the way up to varsity, even though it was a condensed season, even though it was shortened and you didn't have as many games, every single team got to play. And some students actually got to try sports they'd never tried before. Because some of the seasons were condensed and some of the sports didn't happen at their usual time, there were some kids who tried some things for the first time.
Yep.
So, it was kind of wild how that panned out. Be thankful for what we have and try to move forward.
All right, Mike, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Good luck the rest of the year.
Thanks very much.
All right, take care, Mike.